guys, it's Kira and welcome back to another vlog. I'm so happy this morning because first of all, it's the first vlog that is officially starting in the new house, which I'm so excited about. I'm literally so happy to be here. It's been such a busy and hectic week of getting settled in, moving the animals, settling them in, unpacking furniture, putting furniture together, unpacking all of our clothes and all of that fun stuff. But we're finally getting settled in and we only have, I think, about 2 more furniture deliveries to come, which is actually the 2 most exciting things. The sofa, which means that we can finally stop sitting on camping chairs in the living room, and the bookshelves, which need no further explanation. I'm just so excited for bookshelves to finally arrive. So those things should be arriving quite soon, and once they do, I feel like we'll be fully settled in. But in the meantime, definitely feeling a lot calmer and less chaotic now that we've been here for like a week. So with that being said, I'm super excited to be starting a vlog in the new house. And the second reason I'm so excited is because spring is here. I love spring. I mean, I feel like I love all the seasons in their own way, but I've really struggled with the cold of winter this year. I feel like it's been so bitterly cold and it's felt like it's lasted forever. And so spring's arrival has just felt so welcome. It's making me so happy to see leaves on trees and flowers, and most excitingly of all, the temperature going up, which means I'm wearing a t-shirt today instead of my usual thick jumper. So today the temperature is actually meant to be 21 degrees Celsius. I'm not sure what that is in Fahrenheit, but it's warm. Like, it's normally about between 5 and 10 degrees is what we've been having lately. So 21 is a big jump and it's gonna feel so warm today, which I'm very excited about. It's gonna be like summer in March, which is delightful. So with that being said, today will be a lovely, happy, springy vlog. I'm probably going to be doing lots of reading in the park. I don't know exactly what I'm going to be reading yet, but you will be the first to find out when I decide. For now, I'm just going to enjoy my lovely morning cup of tea. And I think Jay and I are going to head out for a little morning walk as well. Morning walk, although kind of weird because it's a beautiful day, as I've mentioned, but there was clearly some rain further up the river the last couple of days because the river banks have completely flooded, and like where we were on a run yesterday morning, there is now no path, it's just all water, so that's kind of weird. We've just gotten back to have some breakfast and I just got a delivery which has a handwritten address on it, and I have no idea what it is. But I thought I would open it on camera because honestly, why the hell not? So without further ado. Ooh, we have a note. I think I recognise the handwriting. Oh, look at that, super cute. And it is from Meg. How cute. She says, congrats to you and Jay for getting your own place. Thank you so much, Meg. And vegan brownies. Oh, there's food in here. Oh my god. Meg is such a talented baker, so this is going to be good. Oh, they look amazing. Oh my god, wow. Thank you so much, Meg. That is such a wonderful surprise, and I'm so excited to dig in to those brownies later. So like I said, we're currently just having some brekkie and watching Malcolm in the Middle, and then we're gonna head back out and go sit in the park and read. But before that, I obviously need to decide what to read, so that is next on the agenda. Today has just been such a lovely day. Park reading was potentially a little bit less of an actual good idea in practice than it was in theory because it was so busy everywhere and obviously everyone else was out enjoying the sun, so it wasn't exactly like calm reading conditions. I did do a little bit of reading, but we're back now. Jay is obviously already reading behind me and I'm about to do a little bit more reading, but it's been quite a while since I've done a Here's the Tea, and very gratefully I was gifted some tea from my friend Sarah. She gave me some tea that she tried as part of the tea advent calendar she got in December, and that sounded incredible as a housewarming gift, and it was this Melbourne breakfast from T2. I was gonna get the T2 advent calendar, but then one of their teas wasn't vegan, so I didn't end up getting that one, but Sarah did, and she really liked this Melbourne breakfast. And what does it say? Bless you, Gatsby. When the winds start howling, this brew will see you through. Indulge a little with this full-bodied vanilla sweet tea, bound to keep you cozy all year round. Sip it up, Melbourne style. Now, I love an English breakfast. I've never had a Melbourne breakfast, but it smells absolutely amazing. It's got like a really vanilla-y sweet scent, and I made it with oat milk as usual. So without further ado, let's taste this. Ooh, that's nice. It kind of just tastes like an English breakfast tea, but a little bit creamier and with some subtle sweet undertones. It's not like overpoweringly or synthetically sweet, just has a nice like vanilla-y warmth and creamy sweetness about it. So that is delicious. So with that in mind, I'm going to do some more reading of Wild by Cheryl Strayed. I made it about 30 pages into this book, I think, in our little park reading session, and so far it's very intriguing. We have this main character, Cheryl, who has basically gone through some really difficult circumstances in that at age 22 her mum dies from cancer, and at that point everything that she's known, her marriage, her relationships with her siblings, her relationship with her stepdad, all kind of break away, and she's left feeling completely lost and alone. And then she decides to hike the Pacific Crest Trail in order to try and like re-find herself. So at the point in the book that I'm at currently, I obviously know that she is going to hike the trail and she refers to that, but she's currently kind of going into the backstory, what happened with her mum, what happened following that, and essentially what led her to eventually decide to go and do this Pacific Crest Trail. And I'm sure there's going to be lots more interesting experiences to read about during that experience. So very much intrigued and invested in this book. Got a lovely cup of tea, and I'm also going to enjoy one of the brownies that Meg sent me, which I'm so excited to dig into. So I've got a pretty delicious afternoon ahead of me. It is now Wednesday and the beautiful spring weather has stayed with us for another day, which has made me ever so happy. Went out for a run this morning, which was my last run in March. I mentioned, I think in February, that I set myself a challenge for the month of March. I called it Miles for March, and essentially it was a running challenge where I wanted to run a total of 80 kilometers, which equates to 50 miles throughout the month of March, which to experienced runners is not a huge amount, but to me it had been a long time since I'd been back into running, and so I just started getting back into it in February, and taking on 80 kilometers in March seemed like a huge challenge. But we had our final run this morning, which was a 6 kilometer run, and that took me to, I think, 80.013 or something like that kilometers. But I beat 80 kilometers, have officially done Miles for March, which I'm so happy about, because when we started the moving process, it was obviously keeping us very busy, and I ended up falling behind on a couple of weeks, and I genuinely wasn't sure if I'd be able to claw it back again, but Jay definitely helped to motivate me through these last week of running, and I did it, 80 kilometers in a month of March. So that was a very exciting thing, and it was such a beautiful day for a run, and that was a wonderful way to start the day, I think. And then since being back, we also got fully into spring cleaning mode, did like a proper top to bottom house cleaning everything, and then just had some lunch and have done a teeny tiny little bit of reading of Wild. This is such an interesting book. It's so dark in places, like diving into obviously Cheryl's experience with grief, but it also dives into her substance misuse and addiction problems, which I didn't actually have any idea was going to be a part of this book. And it's really interesting to see how she's obviously turned to nature and to hiking as kind of like a last resort type of thing. And there is a quote from when she had just started the hike of the Pacific Crest Trail, which I just think was incredible. So she kind of makes a point that although people had been walking along the rough trail for years and years and years, the actual like official trail didn't get marked until 2 years after she was born. And so she was kind of like the same age of the trail. And it says, "The trail didn't feel 2 years old to me. It didn't even feel like it was about my age. It felt ancient, knowing, utterly and profoundly indifferent to me." And I just think obviously she's dealing with such a hard time, and she really eloquently manages to capture this vision of how insignificant humanity feels in the face of nature, and how nature, although it could technically have been around for similar amounts of time and various trails might have come into being at the same time as humans have, they just are completely and utterly different in the sense that they just exist and they're peaceful and they see things happen but they're not impacted by them. And I just feel like it's such an interesting way to look at nature, and I think really summarizes how she's choosing to view the nature on this trail. So I'm hoping to do a little bit more outdoor reading today, but I'm actually just about to head out for a little social distance walk with my friend Sarah, the one who gifted me the Melbourne breakfast tea, which was delightful. And on my way to go and meet her, I'm actually going to listen to an audiobook. I started listening to a new audiobook last week called Group by Christy Tate. This is a memoir all about a woman's experience of group therapy, and it is so interesting. I'm clearly on a bit of a memoir kick at the moment, but this memoir is incredible. Christy is someone who had dealt with mental health problems for most of her life. She really struggles to feel like she can connect with people on like an intimate or personal level, and she's also had issues with eating disorders and body image and her relationship with food for almost her whole life. And so she turns to group therapy kind of in the same way that Cheryl is turning to hiking as like a last resort. Group therapy is the last resort of Christy in her memoir. She really struggles to even comprehend the idea of group therapy because intimate relationships and connecting with people is something that she struggles so much with. In opening herself up to trying something completely radical to her, she ends up having this transformative experience, and it is so interesting. She is very raw and upfront about all of her struggles, very open about all of the times that she wanted to quit therapy and all of the times that she has been really dubious of how it's working, and I'm really enjoying that one as well. I think I've still got about 6 hours of that audiobook, and I've probably listened to maybe 3 or 4 hours so far, but I am loving it. It's so good, and I'm having a great time. So I'm going to listen to that on my way into town, go for a little walk with Sarah, enjoy the sun, and then get back and read some more of Wild. feel so relaxed this afternoon. Had such a lovely walk and a smoothie in town with Sarah, although we both realised that we completely dressed for the wrong season. I knew it was going to be warm today, and yet something possessed me to put on a jumper, and something possessed Sarah to do the same thing, because we were both out in jumpers today. Everyone around us was wearing the most beautiful dresses and shorts and summery outfits, and we looked ridiculous in our jumpers, but it was a lovely walk nonetheless, and I enjoyed listening to Group as well. It's just such a interesting read, and I'm so glad to be listening to it on audio, because I feel like it's such a personal narrative about Christy's experience with therapy, and I think the fact that she has narrated it herself just really adds to that personal, authentic experience that you're getting throughout the book. And obviously I don't have the physical reading experience to compare, but I do feel like it really feels just that level up to how much more personal and raw it is hearing it from her voice rather than reading it on paper. But I am really enjoying that, and I'm also really enjoying Wild. I'm now about halfway through Wild on page 135, so maybe a little bit under halfway, and I just feel like she's really getting into the hike at this point, and you're really seeing how it will transform her, but she still kind of just feels like she's finding her feet, doesn't exactly know what she's doing. But there was a quote right at the end of the chapter I just read which kind of summarises that point, and it says, "I had only just begun. I was 3 weeks into my hike, but everything in me felt altered. I lay in the water as long as I could without breathing, alone in a strange new land, whilst the actual world all around me hummed on." And it's kind of like you get the sense that she is obviously on this hike and time is still passing, but all the while that she is doing this Pacific Crest Trail, it's almost as though she's in kind of like a parallel universe where she is living her life, but she's living so differently to the world around her, and she feels kind of like engulfed by nature and therefore separate from the modern world. And yet you kind of get these forays into the modern world as they kind of go off and stay in hotels or go into trail towns and stuff and just briefly re-interact with the actual world, but then kind of retreat back into this kind of like idyllic but also very confronting nature world where there's nothing around them but themselves, their own thoughts, and occasionally other hikers. And I just think she is capturing the experience so well. I also kind of thought to myself that it was really ironic that I'm obviously reading two memoirs and they're not similar in their like actual topics. This one is obviously about hiking and Group is about therapy, but I feel like they are similar in a lot of ways, and I'm certainly drawing a lot of comparisons, which I think is interesting because it's kind of like they really juxtapose each other. Cheryl Strayed is talking about her journey of trying to find independence, I guess, going from being someone's daughter, someone's sibling, someone's wife, and all of that kind of stuff, and always kind of viewing herself in her role to other people, to then going on this solo journey to try and find out who she actually is apart from all of her relationships with other people. So this is really a journey of independence caused by trauma and caused by desperation. She's been pushed into this desire to go on a solo journey to figure out who she is. Whereas in Group, we have our main character Christy, who has also been pushed through desperation and through just feeling like she's at the end of her tether to finally let people in and to go from living life completely solo and viewing herself as this island to then trying to let other people in and create these important relationships. And so we have two women who are both kind of in these really difficult situations. They're both feeling really lost and desperate and like there maybe isn't any hope for them, and they both kind of go off on completely different tangents in order to try and resolve those issues and help themselves. And so I'm finding it really interesting to be reading two books that are both extremely different but kind of have similar core messages and motivations, and I'm just loving both of them. So it is currently the middle of the afternoon. I've just been doing a little bit of reading of Wild, and I'm going to continue reading that one for the rest of the afternoon. But this evening I'm so excited to watch the new episode of Made in Chelsea because the new series started this week, and I can't wait to watch it and eat pizza and basically just continue living my best life. Happy Thursday, guys. I feel like I can actually warrant the choice of a jumper today because the temperature has swiftly dropped as quickly as it went up. Yesterday and Tuesday were both 21 degrees and today it is 8 degrees, which isn't that cold in the grand scheme of things, but compared to yesterday it feels very chilly, so I'm having much more of an indoorsy day today, reading wild, listening to group, and I'm actually just about to do some baking. Before I get into that, I just wanted to share a little reading update because I am now on page 222 of Wild, which means that I have just under 100 pages left to go, and the plan is definitely to finish reading this one today. It is just such an interesting book because first of all, just such a unique life experience. The only memoir that I can kind of compare this to is Educated, in the sense that it is real, it's based on someone's actual life experiences, but because those life experiences are so unique and so unconventional, it reads like a fiction, and it's so interesting, and those are my favourite types of memoirs. But then when you kind of really allow the fact that it is a real life experience and it is someone's actual lived life, you let that settle in, it becomes really sobering, because whilst she's doing something incredible and therefore it is a really empowering book, so much of Cheryl Strayed's life has been just like tarnished by loss, by grief, by substance abuse, and she really is on this journey because it feels like the only option that she has to try and salvage her life. And it just feels so kind of odd to read because you're like simultaneously like empowered and like, wow, what an incredible thing to do, but then also sad based on the experiences that led her to do this incredible thing. So it is really amazing, and I'm so excited to watch the movie adaptation after reading it. I might even see whether I can find it to watch tonight because I just want to see what the movie adaptation is like. But like I said, I'm planning to do some baking today. Jay brought home some rhubarb, which is just like the most beautiful fruit, like so pink. He brought this back from the market. So I'm gonna make an apple and rhubarb crumble, and whilst I bake that, I'm gonna listen to the audiobook of Group.
I've been lying here for too long. I don't know what else to do. I wanna get away from every little thing just to try to make it through. I've been thinking about my options, every detail in my head, but it doesn't really matter, nothing matters, so I cry instead. My breath. I've been trying everything I can, but I ain't got nothing left. I've been staring at the ceiling, I've been staying up all night. Everything I ever worked for vanished in the blink of an eye. I've been asking every question, 'cause I haven't got a clue. Why's it gotta be me? What the hell am I supposed to do? I've been running circles, trying to catch my breath. I've been trying everything I can, but I ain't got nothing left. And I know there's so much more to this life, but it's hard to see it clearly. Yeah, I try my best, but nothing turns out right. God, I need you now so dearly, 'cause I've been running circles, trying to catch my
what a day it's turned out to be. Although the sun hasn't stayed with us, I have had an excellent day. First and foremost, I just finished up reading Wild, which was such an incredible story to read about. It has 100% strengthened my desire to, at some point in the future, hike an incredible trail and just challenge myself mentally and physically. I've always been really attracted to the Appalachian Trail, which is the East Coast Trail in America. This was obviously about the Pacific Crest Trail, but equally, it's just been such an inspiring read, and I just feel like I definitely want to do something like that in the future, whether it's that trail, another trail, or just something completely different. I just think something about really applying yourself to a physical challenge like that and pushing yourself further than you could ever imagine going is just something that I would love to be able to do. But even aside from that, it was just a really incredible journey. I feel like it was just something that you get so invested in right from the beginning, because you understand the stakes that are sort of in place for the main character, for Cheryl, for her entire life. This feels like the only option that she has, and therefore each step that she takes just feels monumental, and it was just such an inspiring and uplifting and empowering story to read about. I had one more quote to share with you all about this book, which kind of, I feel like, is the point where she is like finally stepping into herself, where she had been challenging herself and keeping on going, and every time that she had doubts or wanted to step off the trail, something in her told her to continue. And then it says, "I was entering, I was leaving. California streamed behind me like a long silk veil. I didn't feel like a big fat idiot anymore. I didn't feel like a hard-ass motherfucking Amazonian queen. I felt fierce and humble and gathered up inside, like I was safe in this world too." And it feels like everything that this trail and nature and this extremely challenging experience had to offer her was just transformative and really allowed her to kind of be reborn from a really challenging life experience, which was obviously losing her mother. And the final thing actually that I want to share about this book is that she ends up this trail in Oregon, I think, and she's talking about selling some books that she had in her truck, and it says, "I take the box of books I bought with me from Minnesota and sell them the next day at Powell's." Now, to me that would have typically just been a sentence that I wouldn't have even noticed, but if, like me, any of you guys watch the lovely Morgan from her channel Morgan Long, she is a Portland-based booktuber. Her content is absolutely wonderful, and her favourite bookshop is Powell's, and so I immediately just had this incredibly cozy image at the end of this book of Powell's bookshop, which is somewhere that I would love to go in the future. So, finished up with Wild. It was incredible, and I still have a little bit left of listening to Group by Christy Tate, but I'm just having such an equally empowering experience listening to that, because similarly to Cheryl in Wild, Christy has these experiences where she wants to quit therapy. She comes up against something challenging and she just wants to, rather than face up to it, stop and take the easy route, but actually something in her tells her to continue on with therapy, and it's almost as though with each moment that she goes against her inner sort of like her past self, I'd say, like her inner past self, the self that she's trying to change from and grow out of. Every time she doesn't listen to that self, the self that tells her to quit, you see her growing and you see her taking steps towards the self that she wants to become. And whilst in Wild, it's like physical steps along the trail towards a new life and a new way of existence. In Group, it's almost like each time she turns up to therapy, each time she goes against the part of her that wants to quit, that wants to return back to unhealthy coping mechanisms, you see her grow and you see her progress. And I just think it's such an authentic insight into recovery that shows that recovery from any mental illness isn't just a linear path where you just decide you want to get better and then suddenly you are. It's like a constant choice to make the decisions and do the work to become the person that you want to be and to become the person that isn't dealing with those mental illnesses anymore. And I just think it shows it in such an authentic way. So Reading books has been incredible today. Made a crumble which was delicious, and as you can see behind me, a little sneak peek because bookshelves arrived today and all of the books are now on the shelves. There is a separate video coming very soon with me unpacking all of the books and putting them onto the shelves and going through all of the organisation. So a little sneak peek here, but you will see that video very soon and I'm super excited to share it. But for now, I'm going to finish up this reading vlog here with the message that although the weather hasn't been as nice today, spring has arrived and memoirs are so incredible. I'm so in the mood for memoirs at the moment. So if you take anything away from this vlog, let it be go read outside, and if you're looking for a new book to read, either read Wild or read Group because they are both incredible. If you have any memoir recommendations, I would love to hear them, but thank you so much for watching and I'll see you next time.